When I first was diagnosed in 2017, it was the loneliest experience. And I say this not to make my husband look bad, because at the same time I was in my low-key denial stage too. Like I said, I went right back to work after getting diagnosed. So I come home, tell my husband, kind of nonchalantly, I feel like, now that I look back at it, I didn't make it a big deal because, again, I'm like, okay, how hard can this be? But at the same time, when I reflect, he wasn't asking me questions about it. He wasn't asking me how I felt about it initially, He wasn't asking me how I was processing it. And there's reason why too, because we were still having a conversation do we want to have kids? Are we ready? How much these kids really cost? Where are we at in our careers and our calling and ministry? So I didn't talk to him about it. If I could be honest with you, there was not much talk about it. And in turn, he didn't talk to me about it. PCOS can be this thing in your marriage. It's like this very distant relative that has moved into your house. And nobody talks about this relative. They're somewhere in the back corner somewhere, but no one's going to talk about it. So that was a lonely experience. And when I think back on it, as the years started to go by, there was resentment building. And it was a little confusing because how am I resentful towards this person? This is not their fault. It's not something they caused. They are still learning about it. I'm still learning about it. Most of the time I'm pretty avoidant about it. So, but that resentment was still building in the background. And now that I know what I know about PCOS, things make so much more sense. So for example, mood swings. Mood swings is one of the symptoms of PCOS. So I think a mixture of the mood swings, irritability, building resentment, I would lose patience on him so quick. Within a matter of seconds, lose patience, snap, say things that I shouldn't say. And sometimes it was with him and only him. Sometimes it was with people. But again, now that I look back, I'm like, oh, I was probably going through a mood swing. I was very irritable. So those are some of the ways that it has impacted our marriage. Knowing what I know now, I should have taken the initiative and just invite him into the conversation. Invite him into my processing from the beginning. I should have had just a more open approach to sharing. I don't know what this is. I'm really confused. They gave me a lot of information. I need support. I need you in this. I should have openly communicated that. Now I'm in that place where I can be more open and feel more emotionally connected by talking about it. But then I did not know to do that. And then also doing research together, making it a part of our lived experience as a couple, I've learned has been so important. Whether it's watching videos, initially before I was going to all of my appointments, blood work, ultrasound, scans, all this stuff, by myself. My husband never went with me, but I also never invited him. I never made an open invitation. This was my thing. I'm dealing with it. You stay over there. I stay over here. But now it's totally different. I invite him to every appointment. Now with telehealth, we do virtual appointments with our doctors and specialists. So having that openness, opening up the experience with your husband is so crucial and helpful. part of my experience, my post-grad clinical experience, was working in the healthcare system with pregnant teen moms. With pregnant teen moms, I really enjoyed working with them. Surprisingly, some of my friends were like, girl, how do you? I enjoyed working with them. I did, because just where a 16, a 17-year-old is, they need so much guidance. And so I really enjoyed that part. I enjoyed educating them about postpartum depression and labor and delivery. We did a lot of psychoeducation, right? But I think when I was going into my third and final year is when it really started to hit me. I was like, man, like there must be something really wrong with me, because it just seems so easy for other people to get pregnant and like clockwork, you know? And so by now I'm in my early 30s, and it's just part of, you know, this period of life where your friends, your family, they are on their first or second, maybe their third baby. And so when you're realizing a lot of your peers, for me, a lot of your peers are having babies, and you're like, in your early 20s, there are not much people having babies. Okay, not a big deal. But in your early 30s now, and research says, right, most young adults are pushing off parenting or childbearing years to their early 30s. So the research is correct. Anyway, and so I got really discouraged when I realized people who are my age now, not the teens that I was working with, that's work. When those who are my age, my peers, my peer group was getting pregnant, second, third babies. And I'm like, oh, something must be really wrong because nothing's happening. So that's when it probably got really discouraging. And I was like, God, please, I can handle a lot of things. I really can. I'm a fairly strong person. And that's just one of those things I just didn't feel like I could handle. So I was like, okay, let me prepare myself for this experience.